Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Hollywood After Dark. It is Monday night. It is July 17th, 2023. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the savior of Hollywood. Is it Tom Cruise? Is he the only one to bring the writers, the actors, and the producers together for the sake of all the industry? We're going to be chatting about that, Michael Cera almost quitting acting, Miyazaki's new movie, and a bunch of other stuff, folks. It's Hollywood After Dark. Let's fucking go! Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome to the party. Welcome to the show. It is Hollywood After Dark. It is Monday night. It is 9:30-something p.m. A lot going on today, folks. Obviously, as everything is going to be happening here, the first week of the strike for the actors is going to have a lot of information. A lot of news is going to come out. And on the other side of things, a lot of stuff is going to simply slow down. Unfortunately, simply because a lot of actors can't talk to the media about the work that they're doing. And a lot of everybody just isn't doing it right now. So, like I said, it's going to be weird. We got a couple things to talk about tonight, and then we'll go from there. Obviously, I'm just going to dive right the hell on in. So remember, guys, if you like the show, if you like what I do, become a channel member. It helps the channel out immensely, especially as we are getting ready to enter into another adpocalypse. You guys can become a channel member. Super chats, but below there you'll see a Cash App or Stream Elements, which goes through PayPal and doesn't give YouTube that cut because they take like 30%. It's insane. Also, tonight after this show, and this is going to be kind of a new thing going forward, tonight over on Patio Commentary, we will be discussing John Carpenter's The Thing. Is immediately following this show by a couple of minutes over there, youtube.com/Patio Commentary. We will be talking about the seminal 1982 classic that was originally deemed a flop. I have a lot of thoughts on the movie. I have a lot of things I want to discuss with the movie, and obviously that's going to be a lot of fun. And like I said the last couple of nights, I do want to start putting a higher emphasis on these Patio Commentary streams. Do them, quite frankly, as often as I can, because it is a great way to just have a conversation with you guys about everything and about movies and keep it on the up and up and on positive and things like that. So that is going to be that. So let's move in. First story of the day. Of course, we got a little bit of information about the Lando show. Now, you remember it's been 3.5 years since Kathleen Kennedy announced that they were working on a Lando Calrissian show with Donald Glover. It's been like 3.5 years basically, right? Or 2.5 years. I forget. No, it was December of 2020. So yeah, we're coming up on 3 years. So 2.5 years it's been since they announced this, right? And obviously there's been no movement. Obviously there's been nothing really going on as a result of this. But we got a bit of an update here from people involved. This case is Justin Simeon, who was working on it. So basically he was developing it as a writer, and he's been very quiet since its announcement. Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy did state back in April at Star Wars Celebration that the show is still in progress, and Donald Glover is very excited about it. However, since then in an interview with the Direct, Simeon revealed that he hasn't received any updates since the 2020 announcements. He expressed his satisfaction with the work that he's done so far on the show, and then mentioned that the project was paused due to scheduling conflicts. Additionally, it kind of notes in this whole article that, Lando doesn't really fit into the narrative, the realm of what exactly Lucasfilm is doing. And at this particular point in time, who the hell knows what Lucasfilm is doing? I mean, we know that there's Ahsoka's dropping next month. We know that there's Skeleton Crew. We know that there's Bad Batch Season 3. There's probably going to be Star Wars Visions Season 3. Tales from the Jedi, a couple other things like that. We're getting the Acolyte. We're getting a bunch of other stuff. We know stuff is coming. But when we talk about like a plan, like an actual plan, we don't know what's coming. We don't know what's happening. We don't know what Lucasfilm wants to do. And that ultimately makes it a very weird thing. because people out there really do want to like sink their teeth into Star Wars. They want to be excited for something. They want to be very excited for something. And the Lando show, I think, would go a long way in regards to representation. I think it would go a long way in regards to giving fans of Solo something to hold on to. And I said this on Twitter earlier too, that it's entirely necessary, in my opinion, for them to bring back Alden Ehrenreich, bring back, Amelia Clark, bring back the team, and give us a Lando show with Han and with Kira. Talk about, was it Crimson Dawn is the name of the organization, right? That Voss was in charge of. Give us more about the underworld. We could definitely get more with Darth Maul in that. We could do a lot to really kind of expand out that world and give us a lot more of those stories. And like I have said repeatedly, and I will just reiterate this one more goddamn time, if they play in the ball pit that we know will work, which is Rogue One, right? And/or Rogue One timeline, all the way to Mandoverse, we know that in that specific time frame that people will watch. People want to see that. So just give us that. But I don't know what Kathy Kennedy is doing. I don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Obviously, I don't want to jump on the hyperbole, the nonsense of just like, she's ruining my childhood. Fuck you. I liked Indiana Jones 5, okay? But clearly, when it comes to Star Wars, they have what could only really be described, truthfully, only really be described as just a failure to launch, right? It's a non-starter. And I don't know if it has anything to do with just where they are as a company, the economy, COVID, whatever. It's just like people want more Star Wars. And I feel like they don't know. I think they're afraid, if you want my honest opinion. I think they're afraid of just diving into something because they just don't want to deal with the backlash. And I think the Acolyte, like Ahsoka, is largely primed to be okay. Obviously, your normal idiotic fuckheads are going to be coming out against it, obviously. Right. And I'll say this even too. I was looking on 4chan tonight to see what's going on over there to get some information. And they actually had a thread calling out Critical Drinker and asking, why does anybody like this guy? Him, like all the Friday Night Tights Fandom Menace guys, all say the same thing. And so that's really interesting that even the dregs of 4chan are like, man, fuck this shit. So maybe that is some way of saying that nature is healing. Maybe that is some way of pointing out that even scumbag chuds are just like, screw it. We don't want to. We're tired of this nonsense. And so maybe it is definitely something that they need to do. I think that it is a necessity to play within that ball pit for right now, because the fan base wants more with the original trilogy. Let's be real. The fan base wants more with the original trilogy, whether it is between A New Hope and Empire or between Empire and Jedi. You can play in that area. There's many years to play with in that area to give us more stories, to flesh out our heroes and our villains, and really kind of set the stage. And that's what I think a lot of people want. I've heard people say, no, they have to go back to the front, or they got to go further past. Don't play in this time period. No, fuck that. That's the original time period. That's the original time period. That's the time period that got started. That's the time period that's popularized. And that's the time period that most people go back to. So it is very much what people want. It is very much what they are looking to get their hands on, I think. And I think that the data provided by Disney Plus last year, showing that Book of Boba Fett was the number 5 most watched show of their originals, and that Andor was number 6, really goes to show you specifically where the popularity limits are and what realm to play in. And I keep talking about that because I still believe fervently that that's the case. This 15 years post the Rise of Skywalker doesn't, I mean, I'll watch it, but I can't say that I'm super interested right now. But if you were to go back and say, we're going to do a show set post A New Hope, dealing with like how the Empire is trying to do whatever, or it's the Resistance or the Rebellion, and they're working behind the scenes or whatever, right? You give me a show, just call it Bothans, and tell me like how they got the plans for the second Death Star to the Rebellion. You know what I mean? Like, even though we got that with Rogue One, I would totally see a show called Bothans just to fill in those gaps. And I think they should do that. Well, I mean, maybe not specifically that. That's just a very generalized, over-the-top, hyperbolic opinion, but that's obviously where I stand with that one there. Well, Benson, see, I disagree about Solo. Solo has done quite well on home video, did very well on Netflix. A lot of people discovered it. People found it after the fact. It had the unfortunate release date of 6 months past the Last Jedi. It just took a hit. It took an unnecessary, unfair hit. And I think that's something that's very, very, very reality, right? So anyway, let's move on from there. We've got critics are reacting to Studio Ghibli's The Boy and the Heron, Miyazaki's final film, described as mature, complex, and visually stunning. Now, you guys have to remember, this movie just came out in Japan, and this movie does not have a trailer that I can find. It has one poster. There was like no marketing. And the movie actually had a pretty decent opening weekend, 13.2 million in Japan. That's setting a new 3-day record for their IMAX. So Miyazaki, rock star. We know he's a rock star, right? Living legend. The guy is at the end of his career, the twilight of his career, and he delivers this movie, and he does so in a way that almost completely bucks the trend of how Hollywood and almost any other movie industry around the world markets their content. It's like, fuck you. One poster. It's a teaser. No other information. That's it. And that's actually really cool. So what we know about this is that The Boy and the Heron, which is also known as How Do You Live, premiered in Japanese theaters on July 14th. This film, which is Miyazaki's first in a decade, was released, as I said, minimal advance publicity, a strategy that they used to encourage people to go and watch the film. Like I said, it had a $13.2 million opening weekend, which is actually really good for Japan. Here's what we do know about the story. The film's story revolves around a young boy named Mahito during the Second World War. Critics have praised the film for its themes and the quality of its animation, although some found the story a tad predictable. The film's animation was described as truly astounding, with each frame feeling like a separate work of art. The film is based on Genzaburo Yoshino's novel that had significant impact on Miyazaki as a child. The story follows Mahito after his mother is killed during the wartime fire bombings of Tokyo, and he meets a talking heron who claims his mother is still alive. Critics have noted that the film's mature tone and unsettling moments, with some saying it provides a more mature experience than other Studio Ghibli films like Ponyo or My Neighbor Totoro. I mean, yeah, if it's dealing with like World War II, obviously it's going to be a bit more mature than those two, right? Despite some criticism that the film's many ideas occasionally distract from its storytelling, it has been described as a mature, complex masterpiece that has been worth the wait. Right now, the film's international release strategy is still being set, but G-Kids has acquired the film rights for North America and is expected to release it sometime later on this year. And everything else. Larry, I see your super chat. We're gonna get to that at the end. I'm gonna hold super chats till the end. I do appreciate that, by the way. Thank you very much for the support. So when I think about this movie and I think about like the themes of it based upon just that general description, myself, I go, that's pretty awesome. Like, I want to see this. I love World War II stories. I like mature stories about loss and grief and you know, dealing with death and things like that. Miyazaki is very much an artist. I know he has a very large disdain for where maybe the animation industry is going. And that's okay. That's totally okay. He's like the last of the giants. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's really like one of the last of those people. And it's really cool to see. And hopefully we'll get more movies out of Studio Ghibli after this that are more in line with that, and not, you know, what his son does, which is not as good in my opinion. That being said, I look forward to seeing this. Hopefully they're going to announce the voice cast very soon. Obviously, with the ongoing writer strike and actor strike, they won't be doing any press for the movie. But that being said, there's no press for the movie anyway. So, and it worked out okay. Maybe this is going to be a turning of the tide. Some studios are going to be like, wait a minute, we don't have to push all this everywhere. We can do this. You know what I mean? It's crazy. The business is completely are pretty nuts at this particular point. Anyway, moving on, we get to talk about Michael Cera, a guy who's oft maligned in Hollywood, a guy who's usually made fun of for well, being Michael Cera. Michael Cera, much like a lot of child actors, has the misfortune of kind of being cute as a kid and not so much as an adult. All things considered, I was an adorable little child. I was a pudgy, disgusting young adult. But now that I'm in my 40s, I've got that salt and pepper thing going on. And apparently I look pretty cute to some people. So, you go through evolutions of your looks. But Cera... you know what? Like I've always enjoyed Michael Cera. I'll fully admit. And now he's talking about a crisis that almost led him to quit acting. And so this is an interview with Michael. He was talking, I believe, with Deadline. And, he was discussing this crisis he faced at the height of his fame, roughly about 16 years ago, which is kind of funny to think about that, right? You think Michael Cera, how long has Michael Cera been around? A long time. I mean, obviously Arrested Development was really big. There was Juno, there was Superbad, there was like Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, which I actually really recommend Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist. I thought that movie was hysterical. There's a lot of things that, he's been in over the years, but ever since like that, that the end of like the 2000s, he's kind of been a little bit on the back burner. And maybe this Barbie, we're going to be talking about Barbie's opening numbers here, what the projection is here pretty soon. But maybe Barbie will maybe, I don't know, I'm not going to say put him back on the map, but might remind people that Michael Cera exists. So anyway, in this interview, he's talking about the fame and the attention he received and how it was overwhelming and uncomfortable. He struggled with how to handle interactions with enthusiastic fans, particularly when they were drunk. And he felt that his personal space was often disrespected. And you know what? Here's the thing with that, guys. It's 100% true. A lot of people, for some reason, view actors, writers, people in Hollywood, people on the internet, influencers, whatever term, I don't even like that word, but whatever word you want to use, they don't look at them as being actual people. Like, how many people watch and beat off to Amaranth and never actually stop to think about what Amaranth might be experiencing or what she might be thinking? They just want to listen to her do ASMR while she's wearing a bikini in a freaking hot tub so they can get their jollies off. And it's not just her. I'm using her as an example. But there are so many people out there who simply do not look at entertainers or content creators or actors, musicians, artists, whatever, as being real people with their own agency, thoughts, opinions, and things like that. And it is something that, look, we take that shit for granted all the time with how we see stuff on social media and how we see stuff, just generally in the media. And so Michael Cera kind of coming out and talking about this, I think is a good thing. I think it really is. He also shared that he made a conscious decision to stop taking jobs that would increase his fame, even turning down opportunities like hosting Saturday Night Live. He was unsure if he wanted to continue acting until he was contractually obligated to work on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which he is now actually grateful for. Going through the challenges of fame helped him reflect on what he wanted from his career, which was not to constantly seek bigger roles, but to enjoy his day-to-day life and the world he created for himself. And listen, again, I got to give major credit here. I have got to give a lot of props. I've got to give a lot of kudos. I really feel like that is probably the better mindset for a lot of actors. It's like, I'm not looking to go and become the next big tentpole star. I'm looking to have a career where I'm constantly working. I'm working on projects that have meaning. I'm working on projects that have value. I'm working on projects that I can be happy about. And then still have enough money coming in to where he can still work and pay his dues and pay his talent and his staff and everything else. And I think that's probably for the best. I mean, a lot of people, we look at the top 1% of actors out there, the people who bring in the money, and you could probably think about which actors you see on a yearly basis or bi-yearly basis. Which are the ones that are coming out in movies all the time, which are the ones who were coming out but have largely faded away. Where have they been? What have they been up to? I mean, it's a very evolving business. I mean, look at Zoe Saldana. I'll use this as a prime example. She was in, Guardians 3. She was in fucking Avatar 2. Two of the biggest movies this year. Just in general. Now she's going to be starring on, I think it's Ty Sheridan's The Lioness series or something like that. So she's going from the number 1 and number 3 biggest movie of all time, having been in 3 Star Trek movies, which did make a considerable amount of money, having been in multiple, 5, 6, I think 5 I'm trying to think of like 5 Marvel films that have Zoe Saldana is currently in the top 3 highest grossing films of all time. She is in there. She's in the top 3. And now she's going and working on TV. You might be asking yourself why that is, why that's happening, what's going on with that. Well, largely it has a lot to do with the fact that people like Zoe Saldana, they like to act. Actors like to act. They like to take jobs where they get to act. And she's done enough of the big budget, green screen, blue screen, mocap stuff to where she's probably at this point like, I just want to do something smaller. I mean, Lord knows she's got the fucking money to be able to take the time off. But I think that's something we have to remember about the talent, remember about these people, is that like they like to act and they want to find jobs that are going to be personal to them. Like I didn't even know, by the way, Zoe Saldana, she was in the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. I didn't even know that till just recently. And I've seen that movie like 60 fucking times. But when I saw the movie, I didn't know that it was her. Right? I did not know that it was her. So it was definitely crazy. Now, I do agree with Fourth here that she was sidelined in the Guardians movies. I mean, not really. I agree with you to an extent. Give it a second. Once again, I'm still hard lined in. So there is all of that. I don't know what the hell is going on. I really hate all that shit. Anyway, I cut out. I'm sorry, guys. I cut out. I was more or less just saying that I like Zoe Saldana and I wish her the best. Okay. So moving on from there, we get into the Barbenheimer topic. This one is so interesting to me because we're only a couple days away from Barbenheimer. We're 3 days away from Barbenheimer. And this movie has now taken on these movies, this event, this spectacle, this end of the 2023 summer box office season. I know we got like Turtles and the Meg 2 and other things like that, but this is really it. This is really the end. This is the big finale. And yet people are really embracing it. They're embracing a 3-hour movie and like a 2-hour movie that are so diametrically, opposed to one another. Super fascinating. So here's what we know. The unexpected social media phenomenon known as Barbenheimer, which refers to back-to-back screenings of 2 films with very different themes and styles, Greta Gerwig's Barbie and Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. Despite their stark contrast, both films have twin release dates, leading to a surge in double feature screenings. AMC Theaters has now reported that 40,000 people have purchased tickets to see both films on the same day. You have to remember, just a couple days ago, I talked about this when AMC said that only 20,000 people had purchased tickets to see both films on the same day. Now we're at 40,000. That's doubled. That's going to be something that's going to be quite interesting. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be very, very fascinating to see, how this plays out, who watches it, in what order. Is it going to be Barbie, then Oppenheimer, Oppenheimer, then Barbie? I mean, quite frankly, it's going to be people's experiences on Barbenheimer are going to really depend on the order of which they see the movie, which I think will lead to some very interesting social media conversations. That being said, the article also highlights the debate amongst fans in order to watch the movie like I was talking about. Cinemas have been joining in the excitement, offering themed promotions as well as incentives for viewers who watch both films on opening weekend. Now, this is what theaters should do. We talk about that pretty often. We talk about that relatively frequently. How are movie theaters supposed to compete with the streaming marketplace? How are they supposed to come out and just maintain their dominance? We've talked about a multitude of different things that could help them out. Like, obviously, you've got special events or special screenings or all-day screenings or things along those lines. And it's really fascinating to kind of have those convos. But here, they're like, we're just going to promote this event, this Barbenheimer event, this event. I'm not going to lie. The more I think about Barbenheimer, the more hype surrounds it, the more I think this isn't something even organic. Like, I think it's some marketing firm somewhere was like, we can make this happen. Someone just like some intern just said like, Barbenheimer. And they're like, fucking run with that shit. And they use it to boast. It could have been an AMC marketing thing for all I know. But a lot of people plan on seeing both this weekend, or some plan on seeing it one day, seeing it the other. Either way, both Barbie and Oppenheimer are looking to have, okay, I would say decent. Well, Barbie definitely a good weekend. I would say Oppenheimer probably about what's expected. So it says here that according to azcentral.com, Barbie's box office is expected to be over 100 million on opening weekend nationally, while Oppenheimer is expected to be about 50 or 60 million. Many people are excited about the release of both movies and are planning on seeing them in a specific order, such as seeing Oppenheimer on the first Friday and then Barbie on Saturday. And then now, of course, Barberheimer has kind of become its own term. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody hasn't already bought the domain name. There's t-shirts that are being sold unofficially, obviously. There's someone that's on Twitter with a verified account spamming links to a Barbenheimer shirt, like unofficial shirt, that they're spamming on everybody and whatnot. And they're probably making a lot of money selling these things. Lord Slug here says it's 100% organic. People have been hyped for these two when they got announced last year. See, here's the thing with that. I disagree, right? I'm not looking into it too much. Dude, you guys, come on. You guys know that I pay attention to this shit. Like, flat out, these are what I'm doing. I'm not saying that it's inorganic. What I mean is, like, somebody has been able to, like, put it out there in such a way that it's been able to take hold. It feels to me almost inorganic because of the apathy surrounding movies, the apathy surrounding theaters. You know what I'm saying? It's like if The Flash having Keaton, if Dial of Destiny, and all this shit like just kind of fizzled out when they came. And not to say that The Flash is a bad movie. It's not. I love Dial. Things along those lines. This is one of those things where, for one, we don't know the quality of either film. We know that there are people out there who have seen it. We know generally what to expect from Christopher Nolan. This is a movie that is 3 hours and 9 seconds long, shot over 57 days. A very fast-paced shoot that apparently is like really good in large format screens. And then you've got Barbie, which, basically caused a worldwide shortage on pink paint. But still, there was an idea there that a lot of people were just like, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm not too sure how I feel about this. So we got to remember that. We have to really, really, really remember that. It's been a meme for a while, but where did the meme come from? Where did the meme come from? Yeah, Morbius, I think Sony pushed it. I think Sony pushed Morbius because they were like, once they saw that there was like, It's Morbin Time has a little bit of impact, they ran with it and it worked. Remember, they tried banking on It's Morbin Time by putting the movie back in theaters. Make no mistake, they're doing everything they can to fundamentally control the response to these movies before they come out or even after they come out. All right? Look at the It's Morbin Time. You guys want to talk about that for a second? We talk about It's Morbin Time. It's Morbin Time. Like, Morbius had a terrible, terrible second week drop-off. We know that. It has a terrible second week drop-off. But then here comes the It's Morbin Time, and it's everywhere all of a sudden. It memes, it's jokes, it's whatever. Then Sony's like, let's put the movie back in theaters. Let's capitalize on the It's Morbin Time. And then it failed again because it's an online thing that may not actually translate to anything. Right? But they definitely backed it. They definitely ran with it, and they definitely tried to market it. It's the same thing could be happening with Barbenheimer. Like legit. I'm not even making this up. Like Barbenheimer could actually mean nothing. It could actually mean nothing for either movie. The projections are saying 100 million for Barbie. I don't think it's going to be that high, to be fair. Oppenheimer, 60 million. I don't think it's going to be that high. I think Mission Impossible second weekend is going to do well. The word of mouth on that movie is high. And Barbie is going to be one that, is going to do well, definitely. But Oppenheimer is going to be one that potentially has legs. And it's going to cut into Mission Impossible because it's removing it away from large premium format screens. So, if you're out here going like, it's a meme, it doesn't mean anything. There is actual evidence of what happens when studios back a meme and it blows up in their face. Now, if the quality of these movies, both of them are good, it could have better legs, let's be real, because that's true. But in the meantime, you don't know. You can bookmark this for when I'm wrong, RJ, but largely I'm not wrong on these situations. I'm not hip to the kids. It's not that I'm not hip to the kids. I like memes. I agree with Jess here. Internet memeing is new advertising. It really is. They've tried. Look at what Disney did with Claude over on their TikTok for Elemental. They legitimately put out a fake pirated recording of their movie by having a character that's on screen for like 30 seconds as like the new It meme king. Oh my God, it's Claude! It's Claude, motherfucker! Yeah! I'm a fucking skeet Claude, baby! Like, that's what they were doing. And we called them out and laughed at it because of how stupid it was, and it had no impact. But Elemental has had legs and has gone on to do $300 million worldwide. But that had no bearing, no impact on whether or not families took their kids to see the fucking movies. No, I'm not. God, RJ, Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Don't even make me get into the shit you said tonight, because I swear to God, I will roast you here for that shit. You know, it is what it is. You can't say mess down with the kids. You like Dial of Destiny. I also liked fucking Mission Impossible. You know, I thought Mario was awesome. I've seen it a bunch of times. It is what it is, man. Like, I can't wait to watch all that. Hold on here. Rational says Release the Snyder Cut was a meme. That's actually not true. Release the Snyder Cut was not a meme. That's not a meme at all. That's fictional. Release the Snyder Cut was a legitimate thing at the time, and it maintained a legitimate thing going until its release, because we knew that it existed. It wasn't finished, but we knew that it existed. Zack Snyder's own body of work. We knew what he had. We knew that he had shot stuff. We knew that Joss Whedon had redone stuff, and we knew what we got was not good. And we also knew that Zack Snyder is really well known for his director's cuts. The Ultimate Edition of BVS being a massive hit for Warner Brothers when it hit home video. Like, that's the whole fucking point, is we knew we had tangible, credible evidence to back up a claim like that. It wasn't just someone going like, release the Snyder Cut, and then it just carried on from there, and it magically manifested a 4-hour movie nearly 5 years later. You know what I'm trying to say on that one? It's not like that at all. It's not like that at all. It's very, it's very thing. No, it's Barbenheimer was not, or if you want to believe it's organic, believe it's organic. It's definitely not as organic as you think. It's not as organic as you fucking think. All right, like, it's really not. Let's move on here. Talk about the SAG strike. They put out. This was actually a late addition to the show tonight. This is actually something that they put out just a little bit ago, giving an update on the current situation. So they say here that the ongoing strike and negotiations with the AMPTP are kind of, they're at a standstill. You know, so they've actually put out a bit of transparency, which is good. They did. They asked for wage increases, which they're asking for an 11% general wage increase in the first year to help members recover from record inflation during the previous contract term. Also, COVID and whatnot. But the producers are offering a maximum of 5%. You've got protection from AI technology. This, of course, being at the top of the list, but I have a thing to say about that. Because this is where I largely get into it. Okay. Like, I have my biggest contention with them over this. I do believe that they are largely using AI as a MacGuffin. They're using it as a distraction. They're using it as a way to try to argue about something that largely doesn't exist yet. Don't get me wrong. It's there, but I want to see what the AMPTP says in their specific negotiations. And I'm hoping they respond to this in kind by giving us documentation, because at this particular point, the way it reads to me is very much like there is something that they're not telling us and that they're adding it in there because they know that this is such a hot topic. So this is what it is. SAG-AFTRA wants informed consent and fair compensation when a digital replica is made or a performance is altered using AI, which is something I absolutely, vehemently, 100% agree with. The AMPTP wants to use a performer's likeness for any purpose without their consent, and to use images, likenesses, and performances to train new AI systems without consent or compensation. Here's the thing with that, though. That's what they said. Now, in the actual PDF that they released, they start it by talking about the wage increase and they talk about the AI stuff, but the AI conversation, the AI part of that PDF is all the way at the bottom, one little segment, all the way at the bottom, one little segment. And they address what we know that they want to address. And all it says is, because it says at the beginning of the document that the AMPTP rejected their proposals for AI protection. That's the thing. They rejected it. But at the very bottom, when you get into the actual documentation, it says that they failed to address. So there's wording there we have to think about here. Do I think that the AMPTP wants to to downplay this as much as possible? Yeah, I do. I think they do. Again, it's standing by the fact that I think right now a lot of this stuff is really kind of, is up in the air. I think they should be paid, but I also don't think people should run from the technology, because the technology is there and it should be used in a way that everyone benefits from, because it's kind of the whole point of it. But then again, I might be an optimist. I know people out there are kind of naysayers on it, and that's fine too. I'm waiting for y'all to be proven wrong, which you will be, and that's okay. But in this specific instance, though, the wording really matters to me. And I said this the last couple nights. I'm like, I want to see what the proposal is. I want to see it on paper. And then lo and behold, today we got it, but we also only got the one side. And initially they said rejected. At the very bottom, they said failed to address, didn't use the word rejected. Whereas throughout the rest of the proposals, if the AMPTP rejected it, it said rejected, which tells me that there's maybe a little bit more here than meets the eye, all things considered. And I was sitting there, and I'm reading up on this, and this is one of the things I was reading about when it comes to hold on here real quick. The Oppenheimer thing, if it wasn't organic, there'd be merchandise. It's two competing studios. That's not going to happen. It's two competing IPs. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. It's just not. There's two competing IPs, two different production companies. It's the theaters really kind of trying to get more butts and seats is really what it boils down to. That's what it is. Just to kind of quickly touch upon that, because I saw that and I had to address it. But anyway, the idea here about the protection is something that a lot of people are talking about. And again, I was over on 4chan, and 4chan was talking about this, and I thought 4chan would be very much like against it, because I'm like, they would normally want to stick with like traditional women they can fap to. But the thread I was reading had a lot of people really kind of coming out and saying, this is where the industry is going. This is where things are going. It's fine to go with it. And to me, it's interesting. When my driving job is lost to AI, will I still support? If people want to use AI to deliver food, by all means, by all fucking means, absolutely, I'll support it. Yeah, 100%, dude. Because it might if it I'm all for it. I want to quit that goddamn job anyway. Who cares about 4chan? 4chan is an interesting take on certain things because it's not your normal echo chamber like Twitter. It's very much an echo chamber of another sort, but it gives you an alternative echo chamber to kind of pull some interesting data points from. People there having a conversation that's not associated with their name, there's a bit more freeing nature to that. But then again, the studies have shown that, that removing anonymity doesn't really stop people from being dicks. So there's that. But anyway, no. So one of the things that's very fascinating with all that is they started in the thread. There started being a lot of takes. People showcasing AI art that they made. Like, for example, here's John Hamm as Batman as a concept art. That's kind of cool. Here's Anne Hathaway as Harley Quinn, which I can't say that I'm necessarily a huge fan of. All right. You've got, here's Brenda Song as Chung-Li to give you an idea of what this could potentially look like if there is something like this that's going on down the road. You've got Taylor Swift as Samus Aran, which is really interesting. Chris Farley as Peter Griffin, which would have been very fascinating to see. This one I thought was interesting. Scarlett Johansson as Lois Griffin. Thought that was kind of wild. The one that really caught my eye, there were two of them that super caught my eye. Amy Schumer as Samus Aran, and a very, very, very clearly fake image of Amy Schumer, but I still thought that was kind of funny. And then, of course, the one that got me to really want to make this bit a reality, and oh my God, Fran Drescher as Harley Quinn. I thought that was pretty funny. Obviously, these are just being done, I believe, with Stable Diffusion. You know, it's one of those scenarios where people are curious about the prospects of it, what this could potentially bring, and everything else. And that is something out there that we have to kind of remember, is that like what you're talking about now is a general audience getting kind of a whiff of some of this stuff, being very curious about some of this stuff. And if they see Hollywood pushing back on where they believe technology is going, it's not going to make Hollywood look good, because Hollywood is always, especially look at stuff like Avatar. Okay. Why do people talk about Avatar, right? Obviously they never talk about the fucking story, which I think is pretty decent, but they never want to talk about the story, right? Oh, no one cares about the story. No one cares about the Na'vi, right? It's just fucking Fern Gully and goddamn fucking Dances with Wolves and shit. James Cameron is just ripping motherfuckers off, yada, 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 right? All that crap. They say this all the time. Okay. So then why? Why is it that people go and watch Avatar movies? Why is it that number 1 and number 3 are number 1 and number 2 are the top 1 and 3 highest grossing films of all time? Oh yeah. Does it maybe potentially have anything to do with the fact that the technology is and the experience is there, that the presentation is there, and that people are wowed by what they see because we've seen these advancements in technology and the advancements that are made by these movies, even stuff that Jim Cameron did with The Abyss and fucking Terminator 2 and even Titanic, with the way that they did stuff, has very much propelled the industry in certain ways. And now we're getting into this almost uncanny valley, you know, type situation where people are still really fascinated by what they see. And as a result of that, it spurs a lot of repeat viewings. Oh my God, could it potentially be that people want to see the advancements in technology presented in front of them? I mean, that's basically what it boils down to with this kind of stuff. And if you think that the advancement of visual effects in cinematography and filmmaking is not going to come through algorithms and through large language models that are trained on a bunch of information, then I don't know what to fucking tell you. I want everyone to get paid. I want everyone to be paid and be protected and give consent, all that shit. But we have to also look at the reality of the situation, is that this is in fact where things are going, and they're almost there. And so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens when, in my opinion, the actors and the writers might come off on the wrong side of history on this one. I understand they're trying to protect themselves, and I get that, but this is a situation where you have to realize that things are changing, because all it's going to take is someone with a decent enough, graphics card and some skill to be able to make a TikTok that ends up going out and eviscerating what these movies get in the number of views and the number of engagements, what people are seeing. And that then changes the conversation. And we know that this is happening. And we know that this is what's around the corner. And it's been coming around for quite some time. Remember when YouTube, right? Do you guys remember when YouTube people started dropping some of those cinematic shorts, and it started helping them get jobs, right? What do you think is going to happen here? Shit that they did on their home computer. The kid who did Backrooms in fucking Unity, a game development engine in Unity, helped create an online phenomenon that has gotten Jason Blum and James Wan to produce a movie that this 17-year-old kid is making right now from his computer at home during the summer break. That is what this kid is making right fucking now in his home. And you're telling me that's not where things are going? You're telling me that maybe some people shouldn't need to create, which is a real thing said to me earlier today that really pissed me the fuck off? People are able to take this shit and make it work. And that it should be what Hollywood fears, is user-generated content that can outpace them. That's what I'm talking about. So instead of freaking out and running out there and turning technology into this ever-present, ominous, villainous entity that can take everything down and destroy everything in the last 100 years. Look at the fact of how far technology has come and how you benefit from it. How you benefit from it. Look at the fact that right now, augmented reality is popular, right? What is Pokemon Go? Augmented reality. Apps along those lines, augmented reality. The Google Glass uses augmented reality. Certain things like that are going to use augmented reality in order to be able to help you. You're going to have virtual reality with the MetaQuest, going into the metaverse if that ever fucking takes off. But virtual reality. And eventually what we're going to do, look at the new Apple goggles, whatever the fuck they're called, right? You can sit there and you can watch your Disney Plus content wearing a fucking virtual reality headset. You're going to be able to sit down in your living room and watch something in 4K, 8K, whatever the fuck resolution it is, streamed right to a headset, right for you to watch, and you don't even have to leave your house. And you can watch brand new releases when they come to that service. Obviously, theaters are going to be there, but this is what I'm talking about in regards to theaters. It's catching up. All right. Yeah, it's fucking stupid ass whatever. Okay, like RJ, that Lego Spider-Man kid story wouldn't have happened if in an AI-driven entertainment sphere. Actually, it could have. It absolutely could have. Because that kid still used computers to make that stuff. Go back and watch his original remake of the fucking trailer. He used computers to make that stuff. This is what I don't get about you, RJ. I honest to God don't get this about you. Like, you love technology. You buy all the new consoles. You go out and you see all the new animated stuff. But yet you're so fearful of actual technological advances. It's funny. And yet you call me the boomer. I'm the fucking futurist. And you're the one out there completely advocating against it. Fourth year says, I miss 1080p. Movies look more organic then. Well, they were shot on like 35 millimeter film. Largely what we're seeing now is a lot of issues with the digital side of it. They try to replicate 35 millimeter. They try to replicate like film grain and things like that. And it doesn't really work. It doesn't really work. You know, I was watching The Thing 4K the other night, and some of the dark scenes, you get a lot of film grain on that. And it's really it's noticeable, but it's also good. It's also good. You know, you really like it. You know, I personally enjoy it, to be honest with you. I like the vibe. But yeah, like the ones I enjoy buying more are older films upscaled rather than anything else. Okay. I'm going to get this Jess one because it's on the subject here. The AI conversation issue is that it needs to be needs regulations to avoid abuse from the studios and people who use likeness without authorization. Now, the key thing there is likeness without authorization, and that's the biggest problem. And that is going to take government oversight to come on in and stop those kind of deep fakes from happening. That is the key thing right now, 100%. All right, so there's that. But I completely agree with you. I completely fucking agree with you. Let's see. Benson here. RJ knows his job as a teacher won't exist under AI. He won't be required. I mean, there will always be a need for teacher. RJ, you say you support human artists. What the fuck do you think a person making a prompt of something and like altering it in Photoshop or altering it wherever they can, imagining it, and then seeing it created? Do you support 3D printing? You know, do you support like animation that is all done in computer? All the assets are designed and then they're just brought in to be animated by someone who can do it very quickly. I mean, you have this thing, you go human artists, when a lot of what we do is aided by technology. So do you just want to go back to the Stone Age? People are just doing cave drawings on the wall with fucking shit they pull from their ass and they're like, oh, Chode drew whale today. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Yeah, you know what it sounds like? They took our gerbs. Exactly, CJH. Exactly. It's the go backs, right? Or the goo backs, whatever they were called. That's all it is, all over again. It's just the goo backs. So Nerdy Mastermind here says, I haven't seen a single artistic AI thing made that I've been blown away by. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. It doesn't have to be used on everything, but it will benefit and it will help a lot of ways. So there's that. Anyway, let's move on here. Let's get into the main topic tonight, obviously. This is the Tom Cruise lobbied the AMPTP over AI, asked SAG-AFTRA to consider permitting continued publicity efforts amid strike. Tom Cruise is like, I feel like the only guy who's like making a run for it in a way to bring everybody together. That you got to give credit to that guy, 100%. So here's what we know. Tom Cruise's lobbying efforts with the AMPTP and SAG-AFTRA have been happening. Prior to the recent breakdown of contract negotiations between the two parties, Cruise spoke with representatives about issues such as AI and project promotion, as well as concerns specific to stunt professionals, which, believe me, stunt workers, they need more protection. During a bargaining session call, Cruise urged the AMPTP to acknowledge the importance of SAG-AFTRA's requests for guidelines around generative AI. He also supported the Actors Guild's proposals on behalf of stunt coordinators and performers. Cruise encouraged SAG-AFTRA to consider allowing further member promotion of studio projects even during a strike. This discussion was not specifically about his latest film, Mission Impossible, but rather an acknowledgement of the influence actor PR has on box office results, which are crucial for theaters post-pandemic and for the acting profession. That is part of the job. The press tour, the junkets, all the stuff we generally hate is part of the job. And that is something that actors do as a way to get the word out so these movies can make money, so therefore they can continue to have a job. And Cruise is right. Cruise is 100% right. The fears that SAG-AFTRA has over AI should be listened to by the AMPTP. Despite my proponent, my liking of AI and my belief that it's going to do a lot of good rather than harm, I stand by that. I think that they should listen to them. But I also want the I also want the SAG-AFTRA to be realistic about where things are and what's happening, especially over a 3-year contract, because that's all this is a 3-year agreement. Come back to this in 3 years when AI has gotten to the point where deep fakes are indistinguishable and can be used in these programs. And again, that's something that's coming down the road, but like, it's not here yet. It won't be here for a while. And getting all up in arms about it in this direct moment is something I disagree with, because I feel it takes away from the residuals conversation, which is more important. Now, Cruise, who's a major advocate for the preservation of the theatrical experience, has long been closely watched for his views on the industry's path forward. His efforts to hold Top Gun Maverick for theaters during the pandemic were validated last year when the film grossed over $1.4 billion worldwide and received 6 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture. Steven Spielberg even credited Cruise and this specific success with saving Hollywood's ass during its COVID recovery. If anyone out there right now, I think, truly gets the theatrical experience for movies and audiences, it's definitely going to be Tom Cruise. All right? Like, definitely going to be Tom Cruise. 100%. So it's one of those things that I find to be very fascinating. And everything else. We'll have to wait and see what happens with this. Hopefully he'll get some stuff done. Jarper just wants Skynet to take over. No, I don't. I don't want Skynet to take over. I just understand where exactly is what's this sound and color in my moving pictures exactly. Exactly. Let's see. Hans here says AI can't teach. Teachers need human emotions to teach properly, and AI can't do that. Exactly. No, you can get on here, and I would, well, no, I don't have time tonight, but it would turn into a yelling match, obviously. Hashtag bring back cave drawings. So yeah, I mean, like, look, man, thinking about everything, this is where we are. We can disagree on the subject matter, but I don't like to be dismissive of technology, because technology greatly benefits our existence. Technology allows me to stream to you guys every night. Technology allows us to watch movies to engage with entertainment. A lot of things are very much reliant on technology. So this concept of a humanist approach to something that's already largely been dominated by technology and advancements on that front, I find to be ridiculous and rather reductionary. It comes across as people that, the boomers that want to go back to that non-existent 1950s America where the white picket fence and the 2-car garage and, 2.5 kids in a single income household that never really existed. That's the idea here. If you're afraid of the future, you want to just go backwards. Just admit you want to go backwards. Just admit science has gone too far. We have to stop and go back. All right, we don't need Avatar: The Way of Water. We need Masters of the Universe. We need Mac and Me. All right, we need very terrible movies that you can find on Tubi. That's where things are going to be at. So anyway, Hans here says a lot of people against technology aren't old enough to remember dial-up and wired tech. Yeah, no shit, dude. God damn, I remember wired telephones. Yeah, I know. I'm reading your super chat, Andy. I was just waiting until everything got done. All right, cool. We got a couple here. Let me go through Larry's first, buddy. Thank you for the $20. Jarbo, I was in an anti-woke stream earlier, and I brought up how Batman 89 had a black Harvey Dent and a planned black Robin, Marlon Wayans, before the term race swap existed. They said that was different because it was pre-agenda. Oh, my God. I have to ask you which stream this was in. I have to ask. I have to know, Larry, so we can point fingers and laugh at those people. But you're right. A black Harvey Dent, no one batted an eye. No one batted an eye. Billy D being Harvey Dent back in Batman 89, no one, not a person batted an eye. Having Marlon Wayans still gets residuals from Batman Forever because of how far into the process he got to play Robin before they pulled him and brought in Chris O'Donnell. So yeah, it's very ridiculous. How intellectually dishonest those particular people are. And we know that they're intellectually dishonest. We know that. At this point, they have to be. But thank you very much for that, Larry. Really, really, really appreciate it. And I know you wanted to come here and tell me. I appreciate your patience on that. Andy here for 12 pounds, euro. I don't know that. Anyway, but thank you, buddy. Would it be better if small movie productions would go directly to streaming and big productions like Mission Impossible 7, Oppenheimer stay in the theater? Maybe that's the future. Well, I mean, obviously what you've got is subscription-based VOD, which is Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, things like that. And those movies, that's actually been brought up in this proposal by SAG-AFTRA to make sure that residuals are paid to the actors. And I think at the end of the day, the actors should get paid for those residuals. I'm very supportive of the strike, even if I am largely critical of certain elements of it. Okay. And I think that's fair to be. I think that's really fair to be. So it's one of those things where movies, I think, can survive. Because here's the thing, if smaller movies stayed on streaming, what about Sound of Freedom? That had a $14.6 million budget, and it's blown the hell up. It's done very, very, very well for Angel Studios. Now, granted, the discourse surrounding the movie is a mess. Everything surrounding the movie is a mess. But still, and I get called a pedo fucking dude every single goddamn day because I've had the balls to fucking criticize it, which is great because all I say now to people is like, well, why do you want to hurt kids with misinformation, And they got no answer to that. It's great. But anyway, I think there's a space for everything. A lot of these megaplexes have 16 screens. What I would like to see is I'd like to see, a movie like, let's say a movie like Oppenheimer, rated R, 3 hours long. Fine. What if they released a PG-13 version of Oppenheimer that ran 3 showings a day, and the final 2 there'd only be, I think, the 4 showings for Oppenheimer. But you would have the first 2 showings would be PG-13. The second 2 showings would have all the cut content, be rated R, and run in the evening. And I think if they were able to find a way to like really kind of give us the options of having a theatrical version or maybe a director's cut, give us something that's going to be an experience, give us something that's going to be unique. And that's why I'm really interested in what Netflix is doing with Rebel Moon, having a PG-13 version of the movie and then having an R-rated version of the movie. I don't understand why they want to do that, but I think they're looking at the movie, they're realizing that it's going to blow up, it's going to be big, and it's going to be a franchise, obviously, and so they want a PG-13 version in order to bring in the younger audience and then have the R-rated version for adults. And I'm really anxious, really, really, really curious to see how that's going to play out, because I really wonder how big it's going to be. I think it's going to be pretty big. Thank you for that, though. Brian here for 5 brings up Mark Malkin, Justin Simeon from the okay. Yeah, I'm not going to bring that up right now because I don't have it up. I don't have the ability to grab that. And yeah, I think I'll check it out. I'll check it out on the Discord. I think you posted it in there. But thank you for that, Brian. I do appreciate that. Command Unit here for 5, thank you, says AI teachers need to be a thing. Human teachers mostly suck at their job. I prefer AI teachers to human teachers. I'm not too sure how I feel about that. But I'll tell you this. Yesterday, I was trying to program a Google Chrome extension in GPT, and I was asking it questions, and I'm like, I don't understand this. Can you explain this to me like I'm 5? And they explained it to me like I'm 5. They explain it in a way that allows me to better understand what's going on, to better understand it, in a way that I can get it. And I think that's really cool. I don't know if like teachers largely would be able to do that. I do think AI is going to be a great tool to help teach, but I don't think it's going to be a replacement. But I thank you for that. And then Larry here says it was Comics Division, LOL, first time catching. I don't know who Comics Division is, to be honest with you. That is an absolute new one to me. But God, calling it woke. Yeah, I know, right? I got into it today a little bit with what's his nuts? Josiah Rises, right? From the Fandom Menace and whatnot. And he's out there promoting like the epic verse and shit like that. And then I found one of his old trailers that was sent to me. And it was sent to me and I was laughing at it. And I'm just like, I'm like, oh, let's hope it's better than this. And then he's all like, oh, well, this is an old thing and I have money now and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that doesn't make it any good, dog. That doesn't make it any good. If you don't know how to make a movie, then you're not going to do well making that goddamn movie. This is not going to happen. This is not going to happen. So we have to recall that shit. It's just, again, people are funny. People are funny on that front right there. So let's see. Benson here says AI teachers won't be biased or have favorites. Kids will be treated equally under AI when it takes over teaching. I mean, like if the kid's conservative, it's a high probability. I'm just saying it's a high probability that most likely they might not be able to get the answers that they want. That's kind of true. Although here we go, RJ says anybody advocating for AI to replace teachers is a moron. You want to see education and the quality of the human race decline even further, remove the ability for social interaction from schools. But here's the thing. Here's the funny thing you say about that. I don't like homeschooling because of that, right? I don't like homeschooling because of the removal of social interaction. But at the same time, America has to play catch up. And this is true. We have to play catch up with China. We have to play catch up with a lot of these other countries like India that put a heavy focus on education. And we need to do it in a way that's going to allow people to be able to understand it and be able to excel in it and be able to find value in it. And honest to God, like teachers are overburdened. You know that as well as anybody else does. You've seen it. Teachers are overburdened from preschool to elementary to middle school to high school. They're overburdened. You have first grade teachers with 50 students in their classroom. 50 students I've heard about. Let's say, or 30 students. But either way, it's like when I was a kid, we had like 20 and that was a lot. Now you double that? One teacher having trouble, actually being able to afford to work there, having to pay for supplies out of their own pockets. It's thankless work. Don't get me wrong, and they deserve the praise. But at the same time, it's like there's the implementation of support from the powers that be is simply not there. And so I would argue that in these situations, the school board will largely move to have something like AI help out as a way to streamline the process, to keep it cheaper, and hopefully have an impact. So, does anyone realize how weird this is? It sucks. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's going to be something good, but we are in a space right now where there is a reality that people need to face. And that's largely what I've been talking about, is the reality involving education, the reality involving industry, technology. expansions of entertainment, moving into a new digital age, things along those lines. We're on the precipice of that, and things are changing. And so people who are trying to desperately hold on to everything, hold on and grip it tight, they're the ones that I think are going to be left behind. How many jobs? Here's the thing, RJ. It's not about jobs that go away will largely be replaced by other jobs. That's the other part of that too, right? But it's not going to be the end of teaching, but it could be a tool that can be used. Labor, Hans is right. Like, labor jobs aren't going anywhere. I mean, there was actually Tesla was testing an electric semi truck that has a pretty strong engine in it, right? So let's see. Real Talks here says MLB is contemplating AI umps next season. Wow, that's interesting. So, okay, Benson here says, my friend's a university lecturer. They are already discussing AI taking over. It's predicted universities will start closing over the next 5 years due to AI. Well, that sucks. I don't want that. Yeah, what I'm saying makes sense. Look, I don't make my bold predictions to talk out of my ass. If I'm talking out of my ass, I usually try to let you guys know I'm talking out of my ass. But when I go on about this the way that I do, it's not that I don't want people to create. It's not that I don't want humans to have artistry or to be able to write, to turn prose, whatever. But there are certain limitations that people have. And the fact that a person, and I'm just gonna, this really bugged me. This is why I'm going to bring it up again. And then I gotta wind it down because we're going to be moving over to Patio Commentary in a few. But the fact that a person said to me that maybe not everybody needs to create. And they said it seriously. And I know they're here. And I know they're listening. That really angered me. Because I'm a creative individual, but I don't have an artistic bone in my body. Even the stick figures that I draw look like they are special needs kids, right? They are terrible. But with this technology, it allows me to sit there and visualize something and then to see it in front of me in a way that I could never do it before. And it's not just me. It's a lot of other fucking people. It's understanding things in a way that allows for a greater understanding of knowledge, being able to ask specific questions and get specific answers. You know, for tonight's Patio Commentary, I actually went into a large language model called HWAD, which is a new one. I took the entire Wikipedia of the thing, a bunch of other articles about the thing. I put it into it and I started asking it questions about the movie, things I wanted to know to be able to talk about it tonight. And it helped me do that. It helped me save about 4 hours of work in a way that is easily digestible for my own brain to use. So to sit there and say that maybe some kids shouldn't create, maybe some people shouldn't create, especially in the position that you're in, is so wildly offensive in so many ways to people who do not have the ability to do what they want to do. A person who may not be able to rhyme to save their life may want to write a poem for somebody and need help and get help with that in a way that is able to mimic the way that they see it in their brain. And you would rather that go away because, well, you know, I'm afraid of AI. Like, it's legitimately bullshit. It's legitimately offensive. You don't have to use it. You don't have to use it. But to say that kind of thing in the way that you were saying it and you were being serious is wildly offensive. Because it diminishes people who may not think that they can create and what comes from their creations. Because if they create something that they like, they're going to want to do it again and again and again and again and again and again. And you know what that does? That builds out the process. A book is not written in one go. You revise, rewrite, revise, rewrite, revise, rewrite. You keep working at it and working at it and working at it. And sometimes you get help. But apparently that's not good enough. But apparently that's just not good enough. You know, but, okay, fine. RJ, I wasn't going to say that it was you, but if you want to bring up that it was you, fine. It says here, I can't draw or do a lot of creative things. I do what I'm capable of doing, and I'm content with that. I'd rather support people who, with a passion, who want to create and pursue that. But that's minimizing people's passion with their inability. That's minimizing their passion with their inability. That is. Do me a fucking favor. Never say that to a kid. If a kid comes to you and goes like, I made this in AI art, and you go, wow, you should have drawn it, you little bitch. This is fucking thievery, and you throw it away. Or say something dismissive. You might crush that kid's fucking dreams. Maybe that kid can't draw. Maybe that kid will take that piece of AI art, sit down and start tracing it and learn how to do it and be able to then draw what he actually wants to fucking see. Just saying. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Anyway, I appreciate everybody coming on and hanging out. Wait, sorry, I missed this one for Communion here. Every child have an AI teacher. I mean, it might happen. I don't really want it to happen, to be honest with you, but it might happen. It might actually fucking happen. There are a lot of advancements to it, in my opinion, but there's also going to be a lot of things that are going to change us in the next couple of years. And I can't quite tell you all that is. But anyway, I do appreciate that. So just so you guys know, we are going to be jumping over to Patio Commentary. The link for that is right here. That will go live in a few minutes. I'll be talking about the movie for a little while. What I might do, I don't quite know yet. I might do this. Depending on how long it takes me to go through my presentation, which is going to be audio, by the way. I'm having enough of my own back and forth on this to like do anything else, but I want to talk about it. I might do call-ins. So if you guys want to like call in and give your quick thoughts on the movie and everything else, we can do that. I want to aim to have it be about an hour, maybe a little longer. That channel is not monetized, so us going over there and watching it will help with the monetization process in regards to getting watch hours. So that is over there for you guys if you want to do that. Real quick here. Can I do, Jesus Christ. Fourth, can you do a chat GPT rap about RJ on the subject? I'll tell you what, man, I'll do it tomorrow. But yes, it can be done. It can absolutely be done. Brandon here. I don't trace because I'm a professional artist. Not everyone traces. I'm not talking about a person who's in a profession. I'm really talking about people who are just getting into this stuff. So there's that. Wow. What do you mean? Wow. Just like DSP. I don't know what that is. I'll forget about it. No, remind me tomorrow. I'll do it. Jesus Christ, CJH. Just remind me. It's all good to remind me. All right, everybody. I'll see you over there for the thing conversation. And if you can't make it over there, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Another episode of Hollywood After Dark. Have a good night.